Alright, hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Unfortunately, I am still recovering from my broken wrist, so at the time of filming this, I'm about 3 weeks through the total 8 weeks recovery, but I'm at the time of this video going up, I should be about 5 or 6 weeks through, so hang in there is more riding content coming through. But even though we're not riding today's video, it's going to be a really cool video because I've got my old dirt jump bike here, my NS Decades, the flashy gold bike, and I was thinking what would be really cool to do today is do a bike check on this bike, so I've never actually done one, so we're going to get into that now because this bike is just flippin' beautiful and it's flippin' cool. Okay guys, so starting this bike check off, we've got the frames. This is the aluminium 2015 NS Decade frame in the gold color. The gold color is absolutely awesome, like you cannot miss this bike in the sunshine, like it sticks out so well. Super good frame, like super strong, super durable, no signs of any cracks or anything for 5 years I used it. Reasonably short back end, which made it awesome for like doing spinning tricks and flips, and even like did a couple odd tail ups on it and I suck at tail ups, so just really great frame. Highly rate NS Bikes products and do recommend them. Okay guys, so moving down the frame, coming out of the frame, we have the Diety seat post. I actually got this seat post in 2011 at Camp of Champions in Whistler, so it is the oldest part on this bike, but it's still going strong. Then coming off the seat post is an end zone seat from Wensley Cycles. You may be thinking that this seat is really high for a dirt jump bike, but I always like to ride a really high seat because it makes it easy to grab it for stuff like T-bogs, makes it easier to pinch it when you spin the bars. So I highly recommend if you're someone who's struggling with bar spins or like T-bogs, just bump your seat up a bit, it'll make things way easier. Okay guys, moving down, we have the Shimano XT cranks linked up to the Chester race face pedals. These pedals are awesome, super wide, heaps of room for moving your feet around and a massive platform to get your feet back to. They do have pretty nasty pin sets, so if you do decide to ever run these pedals, shin guards are a must to avoid destroying your shins. Then on the other side of the bike we are running the E13 32 tooth gold sprocket linked up to a 16 tooth sprocket in the back. And then those sprockets are driving around a Hope Pro 2 Evo hub. Let's get a listen to this thing. Like, this is the best sounding hub ever. Super noisy, such a cool sound. Like, and that's an amazing hub. So many points of engagement. Highly recommend that hub. It sounds so cool, and like you just can't miss it. Like when a bike like this rocks up to the skate park, the dirt jumps, you hear that thing from a mile away. It's pretty cool. And that hub is laced with 32-hole Adam Lab Pimp Light rim. Super awesome rims, the Pimp Lights. I've been riding them for a few years on different bikes I've had. Super strong, super durable, and they come in amazing colors. This one isn't like an aqua blue, which I really love. And they come in like red, green, and gold, I think, as well. So pretty cool rims, definitely worth checking out. Moving on to the brake that stops this wheel and stops this whole bike. I've got the Shimano 4-piston Saint brake. Super good brake, like super responsive, works great for tail taps and stall tricks. Also really good at slowing you down when you need to. Moving up to the front of the bike, I have a Spank Sabrosa 32-hole white rim up the front. Super good rim, no signs of like any bending or buckling at all, so super great rim. It is laced to a DMR Bike's front dirt jump hub. Pretty good hub. I've had this hub for about 5 years. It shows no signs of like giving up now, so it's great. And then moving on to the fork, we've got the Marzocchi DJ1s, or dirt jumper ones. This is the 2018 version. Great fork. I don't actually know if they're being made anymore, as Fox owns Marzocchi, but they're a great fork. They've lasted me really well. They work well for my sister, work well for Jonas. Anyone that I lend this bike to just really enjoyed them. I've them pumped up to about 150 psi. I like them really stiff because you can get a harder pump out of them, and they are still there if you do need them for a bit of cushioning. So overall, great fork and would recommend them as well. Okay, and then moving on to the tires. So I've got Maxxis tires in the front and back. On the front, I have the Maxxis Icon tire. Great tire to have on the front. They have little knobs on the front for a bit of grip to stop you washing on corners or anything like that. Or if you do ride in the wet a little bit like I do in Southland, super helpful, like if it's ever muddy or a bit tacky. And then on the back, I have the Maxxis DTH. This is a super slick tire, rolls super fast in the skate park, super fast on the dirt jump, super fast on the pump track. Has very little tread on it, so it's just no resistance, gets you flowing real fast, but it does have enough grip so you don't slide out of corners. And this is a really good tire combination. I highly recommend this combination just for if you're at a dirt jump, skate park, pump track, anything like that. This really is the dream combination. It's a combination, you know, like guys like Brett Reeder, Brandon Sim, like heaps of top dudes. You will see them running this combination on their bikes. You really can't go wrong with this combination of tires. Moving into the business end of the bike or the cockpit, the Gamma USA Silos handlebars. So these the handlebars came in 800 millimeters. I cut them down to 760 mil, which I think is the perfect length. It's wide enough so you still feel stable in the air, but not too wide that you can't throw the bars around. And then for grips, I've got some Dydy grips that Jonas was kind enough to chuck on here for me. Nice and soft and like just super big, so you got heat room to put your hands back on after tucking your handers, bar spins and things like that. And then for the stem, we have a black market, I think this is a black market Riot stem from around 2010. So actually this is the oldest part of the bike. That is actually older than the seat post I was talking about earlier. But great stem, super strong, has no signs of like giving up ever, so highly recommend it. And then again, we also have the Saint brake there with the lever as well. Super good lever, not too big, not too small, just perfect for getting your finger on. When you go no hands or bar spins, just get your hand straight back to that lever and be ready to stop if you need to. Sweet guys, so that is an overview of my 2015 NS Bikes Decade. So the reason why I've kept this bike is it's a great spare bike to have for shows, and it's just so awesome having a really dialed dirt jump bike that, you know, people like my sister, friends of mine, whoever I'm riding with can jump on and have a go, and they can actually ride with me. Because dirt jump bikes, unfortunately, aren't cheap, they are pretty expensive, and it is quite a niche hobby, so it's great having a spare one around that other people can ride. Other things I can tell you about this bike would be normally run about 60 psi in the tires, 60 to 65, keep them nice and hard, nice and tight for rolling fast. At the moment there's no crank stopper tube in place. The cranks do spin quite fast, but when I was riding this bike as my only one before I was sponsored by Wensley's, I did put bits of tube here to stop the crank spinning for stuff like tail whips, but yeah, just overall a really, really great bike. Like this thing is held up to heaps of thrashings. You know, I've had this bike all over the world. I've ridden in Australia, Canada, it's been ridden at Fire Jam, at slopestyle contests all over the world. It's just a great bike and it's treated me really well. And now it's, you know, it's treating other people well. People like Jonas, my sister Hannah get to use it. Even my mum gets to use it. So just really stoked to have this bike and really grateful to be able to own two bikes and be able to be sponsored by Wednesday so I can have a second bike spare. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into a quick compilation of some of the awesome things I've done on this bike. So I might do like 30 seconds to a minute of some of my favorite clips I've ever got on this bike. So we'll put those in now. Sweet guys, I really hope you enjoyed seeing a couple clips of what this bike is capable of. It was definitely the bike I used for sort of peak of my competition time or my contest riding, so I don't really do contests that much anymore. And I thought to end this video off, what we'd do is have a quick side-by-side comparison of my current Haro Thread 2 that I have from Wensley Cycles and my old NS Decade bike. If I'm completely honest with you, my Haro Thread 2 does ride a lot better than the NS Decade bike did. The NS Decade bike is great, but my Haro just, everything is always super dialed thanks to Wensley Cycles. So massive shout out to the team at Wednesdays and a huge thank you to Rob for keeping this thing going. And this bike, you know, it's a little bit lighter, a little bit longer, stands a little bit higher. It just performs nicer on the jumps. Not to take anything away from the NS bike, but my Haro bike is definitely my preferred one. And if you guys do want a really in-depth comparison, what you can do is I'll put a link in the video now. There'll be a link in the description, and there'll be like an eye somewhere in the video up here. After the bike check I did on this bike a year ago, and there has been a couple changes on this bike, so some things that have changed since the bike check I did on my Haro bike a year ago. I've got this brand new Dave Muir Haro bike seat. So this is the Dave Muir Tribute Series seat. This thing is super cool. Like, it's such an honor to have this part on my bike that was made by the legend Dave Muir. And just super wide, which makes it super good for pinching for suicide no-handers and bar spins, and super easy to see to grab for like T-box, Superman seat grabs. And then I've also got some new grips on this thing, so I just recently got some race face grips put on. Bright blue, so again, super easy to see and spot when you're doing stuff like bar spins and suicide no-handers, and they're local grips, so just don't move at all, and just love the way they look. Other major change I've made is I've gotten rid of my gyro just because I had too many issues with bumping my knees into untucked no-handers, and it's sort of coming apart. So I've gone for a standard hydraulic brake, and so I've got a Shimano Dior brake. Great brake for doing tail taps, foo-fa-noofs, all those kind of tricks, and stops me when I need to. And it's not very often I do more than like one bar spin or one tail up in a line, so I don't really need the gyro, and I've got heaps of cable to wrap around if I did need to do it. Yeah, still absolutely stoked on this bike, absolutely love it, hands down the best bike I've ever had, and cannot wait for my wrist to get better so I can get back to riding this thing, get back into more shows, and show people what this thing is capable of. Awesome, everyone. I really hope you've enjoyed this bike check of my old 2015 NS Bikes Decade. Like, this bike was awesome. It treated me well at contests, and now it's great to see it treating other people well, with my mum, Hannah, Jonas, whoever gets to use it, using it. It's just so good to see this bike still being used. And pretty cool to give you guys a bit of an update of what's happening with my current hardtail. Like, I absolutely love this thing. It is hands down the best bike I've ever owned. Cannot wait for this wrist to be better so I can get back on it. And again, as I said, if you want to see like an in-depth comparison of my Haro and my NS Decade, be sure to hit the link in the description, because I did a bike check of that a year ago, and you got to compare between the two. And yeah, that is going to be the end of this week's video, guys. So do leave some comments about maybe which of these bikes is your favorite, or even like what part of one of these bikes you like the best, or leave some comments about what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. Be sure to like the video, because liking the video helps me out heaps. It allows more people to see it and gets the video more views, which helps me in the long run. Share the video around if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe if you're new. We'll see you in the next one, team. Cheers for watching.